All right, so we all know that there are folks in the world of gambling who will look at something like this, which is 250 shoes of baccarat, 20,223 bets altogether, and just dismiss it out of hand. Just say, well, that's not a representative sample. That's ridiculous. That doesn't prove anything, indicates nothing. It's just what is the word that they love to use? Anecdotal. It's anecdotal. Alexa, stop. One of these days, I will remember to start at 1:31 or 31 minutes past the hour on one of these instead of getting interrupted. But sorry about that. Anyway, as I was saying, anecdotal is the standard thing, not non-representative, blah, blah. And of course, the thing that's interesting about most of those people is that they have an agenda. They have a self-interest. It is in their interests to say that there is absolutely no way mathematically that negative expectation games, games of chance, house games, table games, whatever you want to call them, can be beaten consistently. They always say the same thing, and that is that, yeah, you might get away with it for a while, for a day or 2 days or a week or a month or whatever, but soon enough the hammer is going to come down and splat. All your winnings are gone, and you're deep into your pocket, and you are out tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever the hell your bankroll might turn out to be. So, that's just something that I've been dealing with for all these years and doesn't bother me much. I mean, because I know that these people are largely dishonest. They are the people that I refer to frequently as mythematicians, because they pretend to understand the numbers, they pretend to know all the percentages, the ins and outs, the nuances, the sort of underlying this, that, or the other. But really they don't. All they know is that it's their job to protect the casino's bottom line and to torpedo any attempt to threaten that bottom line. So here what we've got is sort of like, this is an addendum or a twin or whatever for the thing that I posted yesterday, which showed 250 Wizard of Odds randomly dealt, unreal, non-real, whatever. I mean, this is something else that these people love to talk about, how simulations cannot produce useful data that means anything in the real world. It's all fake, it's all fabricated, it's all irrelevant. And of course, that's just more nonsense. That's more, just BS to try and bamboozle the idiots of the world, many of whom are compulsive gamblers with no way of coming out on top in anything that they do. So this is a twin, and what this is what I did yesterday or last time, let's put it that way, is I took the first 250 shoes from 6 of 10 blocks of simulations which the Wizard of Odds has had online for years, okay? 10 blocks, each with 25,000 shoes, okay? So that's a lot of shoes. So I just arbitrarily selected the first 250 from number 6, saying, well, that's close enough to the middle of the pack, the middle of the collective sample, to show that it's random and that I haven't cherry-picked or whatever. And how the hell you would cherry-pick 250 shoes at a time is beyond me, but some prat out there is going to be saying, yeah, well, you just scrolled through, So anyway, what this lot is the last 250 shoes from the 5th tranche of 25,000 shoes put up by the Wizard X many years ago, whenever, long before, I started posting to YouTube, certainly not long before I started putting stuff online, supporting pattern betting back in the day. 1996, I think, was my first online post, and boy, I got torpedoed from 100 different directions. I mean, it was just It was just weird. I felt like I was in a shooting gallery, at the wrong end of a shooting gallery. But anyway, I was undeterred because I knew the numbers and I knew the information that I'd gleaned in the years I'd spent up to that point. Because that's nearly 30 years ago. But up to then, I'd been regularly gambling and regularly winning for more than 20 years. So it's just it's kind of more amusement to me than anything else, the way that these mathematicians will take pot shots. So anyway, just look at the similarities between this, which is showing a 10.3% hold of total action. Total action is 2.3 million over the 250 shoes. Average bet is 113, right? The win is 236,616. The average win is 145. The average loss is minus 117. So that's a win over loss percentage of 124%, which is, what I like to see. I like to see 125%. I don't always get it, but in the last set that I fed into the pattern betting model, I got 136%. So I really can't complain, can I? The other thing that's consistent is that here we have a very high house advantage, which is determined by how many player bets there are versus how many banker bets. It's not entirely fair and relevant because I bounce from one to the other. That's what the hop is all about, obviously. And what the hop does is it just eliminates that and replaces it with a very slight player edge, which this time is a bit higher than before, at 0.43 of 1%. But it's not, it's not bad. The main thing is that what it does is, you escape really nasty negative streaks one way or the other by hopping to the other side. I really don't like betting on banker. I don't enjoy it at all because of the commission. But here we see the total commission is 19,340. Keeping in mind that not all of my bets are banker. So I don't pay commission on all wins, but it still comes out at 8%, which is a lot. And what I didn't do here, which wasn't very smart of me, was I didn't open up to do side by side the last one. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so what we're looking at here is the data set number 6, the first 250 shoes from data set number 6. And we get a slightly better number. We get an average bet of much lower at 88. The win is slightly more, and it's 13.9% of a smaller number for the action. But this is the essence, of course, of these shoes. They are random. And so that means that you're going to have a different experience, with pretty much every shoe, you're going to have a slightly different experience. Collectively, there's going to be a different experience for one set versus the other. So here we are dealing with the first one that I put up, 1 to 250 from number 6, right? And then the next lot here is 751. 24,751 to 25,000. So that's another 250 shoes, amounting to roughly the same number of bets, as we can see, 2043, 2223 and 2243. And I really don't know what these mathematicians are going to say about this. I mean, I've been putting up stuff like this for so many years, and basically getting either insults or, sort of like stupid things like, it's way too much money, it's impossible, nobody can afford to do that, bloody ridiculous, go away, just don't be stupid. Shill, what's his name, Casino Match Faker, put up a comment on one of my things saying that it was so bad it's embarrassing, or so embarrassing it's bad, one or the other. And then the hypocritical arsehole puts up on his channel Oscar's Grind, which is a long ago debunked and discredited progressive betting method, which has been around for at least 50 years, and promoted it as being a really successful way to win at roulette. I mean, the guy is completely amoral. He's just constantly putting up these strategies where, I mean, other than with Oscar's grind, which is a sort of progressive betting method, other than with that, all the others the bets make no reference to the loss to date. And if you don't link your next bet value to the total amount of your target, in other words, the amount that, the hole you're in, the amount that you need to win in total to get out of trouble, so that you can then fall back to a minimum bet and start a new skirmish or sequence or session or battle or whatever you want to call it, rumble, blah de blah. There are loads of different words for it. But of course, the key to all of this is always you go, you win your target as here, and you go back to your minimum, back to your minimum, back to your minimum, back to your minimum. And on it goes, all the way down these things. And as anybody who's been here before knows, the horizontal lines are turnarounds. They're not always a piece of cake, I mean, what you've got here is you've got a situation where you skipped out because you got hit -3, so skipped, and then didn't start betting again until a new shoe, which is here, okay? Immediately, bang, bang, and you're out of trouble. Great stuff, Pop, 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 on and on it goes, down and down and down. And you can see the way that things go in all these games. This is what blackjack looks like. This is what craps looks like. To a lesser extent, it's what single zero roulette looks like. It means you keep on turning round. The horizontal lines mean end of skirmish, end of punch-up, battle, whatever. And let's go down to the very bottom and go up. Well, here what we've got is we've got sort of like an incomplete, because that's the end of that shoe. Was it shoe number 25,000, I assume? No, 250. Okay, so it's shoe 250 because this is the sixth. This is the first lot that I put up. But what you can see is same story, same thing all the time. And the mathematicians will just say, no, you can't do this. There's no... And what they're doing, of course, is they're suggesting that you would have to play at the same table all the time, because that's what the casinos want you to do. They want you to sit still and bend... What? Can you sit still and bend over? No, I guess you have to stand up to bend over, don't you? Never mind. That gets confusing. But they would like you to stay in the same place where there is a tight spread, where there's a minimum of, say, 100 at the table and a max of, say, 2,000, 2,500, whatever, They want you to stay within that tight spread, because when you get to the top end of it, you've got nowhere to go, okay? So if you have a really nasty negative streak against you, then you're stuck, because you can't bet progressively once you've hit the max. So they don't want you to go anywhere. Whereas the essence of this strategy is, get up and go, the gag reflex, as I like to call it, which is obviously get up and go, gag, which is 2 A's, but never mind. That's what that's about. So that if you get to a point at any table where you can't bet what the strategy requires you to bet, get your ass out of there with your money, take your business somewhere else where you can continue to bet at the level you need to bet. And of course, then the casinos or the mathematicians will say, yeah, but one person couldn't possibly do this. It doesn't need to be one person. You could have, I don't know, friends, relatives, sort of comrades, whatever you want to call them, fellow gamblers, all interconnected, as it's so easy to do now. I mean, back in the day, it had to be what the hell were they called? Beepers, those nasty little things that you had on your belt, and you could just get one line of text. Well, that's what had to be used back then for people playing en masse in a group and swapping targets and so on. Now it's a piece of cake. You can do it. You can do it online. You do it on your phone. You can have a Bluetooth thingy stuck in your ear, and every time a message comes in, it speaks to you. I mean, it's just all sorts of things you can do. I don't know what the current rules are with casinos about somebody having a a Bluetooth thingamajig in their ear roll, probably they say no, but that doesn't matter. I mean, like, you get to a situation where you can't bet what you need to bet for whatever reason. You know that Joe is over in the Platinum Casino betting at a high level and cleaning up everybody's messes. So you just send him a quick message saying, "Okay, Joe, got 5 for you." Tum 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 tum. And then you fall back to your minimum. You keep on playing, and you keep on, sort of building up new challenges, new targets for the next guy. And it's like, you got your bronze casino, you got your silver, you got your gold, you got your platinum, you got your diamond, you got your titanium. I don't know what comes after that, but you don't need more than a 5 in a category, so that takes you all the way up to diamond. And this is the thing that I had all those years ago when I was banned from playing blackjack in one casino that I really loved, because to me it was my platinum casino, and I'd go to all the others in the neighborhood and build up a whole series of targets, a whole series of turnarounds that I needed to achieve. And I was betting, relatively high rolling. I mean, in the sort of, the 100 to 1,000 range. And I kept cleaning up. And then they finally barred me because they said I was winning too much. But what they didn't know, well, I did tell them actually, but what they didn't know or care about was the fact that it was, well, obviously it was their bottom line was all they cared about. And I'd sort of say, yeah, but I've been getting my ass kicked at every other casino in town. And, well, okay, that's it. But you can keep your gym membership. That's all right. Oh, back in the day, lovely times. Yeah. I remember I went in there with a friend of mine who found it hard to believe. And so I said, okay, well, I tell you what we'll do. We'll walk up to a blackjack table and I'll start to play, and let's see how long it takes them. It actually took a while. It was like 3 minutes before a guy in a $3,000 suit came out and said, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you again. Yeah, you forgot, right? You're not allowed to play blackjack anymore." And I said, yeah, but my friend here didn't believe me. And so anyway, the guy was charming. He was absolutely charming. They always were. They were lovely. This was Caesar's Tahoe, which has long been turned into something much less. But back in the day when Caesar's owned it, and this guy, and he just chatted happily for the longest time, and said, "Yeah, well, we got to look after our business, and your friend here, pointing at me, was making too much out of us, and we knew he wasn't counting cards, but we didn't know what he was doing. But what he was doing was winning too much money, and that's it, So there you have it. Anyway, I'm rambling again. So just take a look. If you didn't see the last one that I put up, just take a look at this. This is the first lot, the first 250 shoes. This is the second 250 shoes. And if you don't think there's something to this, look at the amounts: 236, 248, 236, 248. I mean, it's a no-brainer, people. It really is. Anyway, up to you. See you later. Oh yeah, something I want to add to this is a very, very popular kind of refrain from the mythematicians. Goes something like, "Every bet of every value is subject to the same negative expectations. So all of your 50,000 bets will have a whatever. And, if you're betting randomly, sort of like emotionally, stupidly, the way that the pros on YouTube are, then yes, that's absolutely true. It doesn't matter. If you were to collect together all of their random bets, you would find that the $100 bets and the $10,000 bets would all have, collectively have lost about the same percentage. It does not apply with progressive betting, and specifically with pattern betting. And here's the information, all right, to back up what I'm saying, which you can take or leave like everything else. You can say he's cheating. I mean, I don't know why people say that and why they would imagine that somebody would spend as much time as I do on these things if they were crooked, not selling anything, not twisting anybody's arm, not asking for investment, not doing anything other than presenting the case for recognition that games of negative expectation can be beaten and exploited if you have a combination of a lot of money behind you, a lot of confidence in what you're doing, and a brilliant betting strategy. And I know one. That's what I always say. I know at least one that works really well. But anyway, let's get to the numbers here. Low value bets to me are 5,000 and less. Okay, so 44.9 were losers, 40.5, 45.3 were winners. Okay, so that's pretty much even Steven, because what we had is we had the hop. Instead of the house advantage that existed before, was turned into a very, very slight player edge. Okay, so which is there, 0.43. Okay, high bets of 5,001 and above, 50% were winners, 42.6% were losers. Okay, and this one is closer to 100 for reasons that I'm not quite sure about, actually. But anyway, that's 89. So yeah, of course. What am I thinking? Pushes, of course, are the difference. So this is why this doesn't add up to 100%, and that doesn't add up to 100%. So 50% winners, 42.6% winners. 12,540 won from low value bets, 243,416 won from high value bets. Okay, so you might say, all right, so that's that data set. I mean, that's just a fluke. That's just. So then we hop to the other lot, if I can get there. Sometimes this thing does actually thwart me, but it's not its fault. It's mine. Okay, so what do we get this time? 45.4% losers, 45.4% winners, so pretty much even Stevens. Low bets, 5,000 and below, lose 33,200. High bets, 5,001 and above, win 309,000. 54.5% winners, 40.9% losers. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's case closed. But believe me, I mean, I've presented this argument many times before, and what I really want to hear is from people saying, and I do get occasional sort of check-ins from people around the world saying, thank you so much for what you've taught me. I'm making X amount of money. I had a guy the other day who sent me a picture of 8,000 that he'd won in sort of, I don't know, half an hour or something like that. And it was all in hundreds, and it was laid out on his hotel bed, and I got that picture. And I don't know whether he was genuine or what, because he was definitely talking about trying to, in some way, collaborate with me. And I'm not up for that. I mean, this has been a one-man show for a very long time, and I'm quite happy with that. I just want as many people as possible to recognize that mathematics is bullshit created by the casino industry. And anybody who tells you that you can't win with progressive betting is lying to you. That's all I want people to accept. I will be just so chuffed if I get more and more people sending me little notes, and that's why I put the Seth Betts email at the end of most of my presentations when I remember. I just want to hear from people who have adopted this method and have backed it the way it needs to be backed and have made money at it. That's what I'm about. And yes, one of these days I will go back into casinos and start betting again. But I left the United States it was a family situation. It had nothing to do with the country. Loved the country, loved all the people I met. Lived there from beginning of 76 until the very beginning of 2014. So that was a long time, and enjoyed it enormously. Raised kids there. Had one boy there who was born in California, and who Donald Trump says doesn't have the right to be a citizen because Donald Trump has decided that he knows better than the Constitution, better than the framers, who are all actually pretty much like him, I think. But anyway, that's a whole different story, isn't it? But this is the kind of thing that I'm saying. Look at this. Look at this. Think about it. I mean, it's just how things are, and you listen to the mathematicians, and you will miss out. But you cannot take 2,000 to the tables and expect to make money. You can't take 20,000 to the tables and expect to make money. 200,000, now you're talking, But it takes big bucks. Why? Because the casinos have big bucks, and they can wait out your winning streak until it turns against you, which it always will. Whereas you can't wait out their winning streak because you don't have enough money. That's why I came up with that expression. If you can't afford to win, don't bet. And it sounds like, I don't know, dismissive or condescending or any of those things you might like to interpret it as. But what it is actually is very good advice, honestly. And in all the years that I spent in Nevada casinos watching people just throwing their money away, just doing themselves terrible damage and doing great harm to their families, no doubt, because it was money that they couldn't afford to lose. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck. All I can do is say, take a look at this, check it out, take it or leave it, and then we're back to the old. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, and that really is what it comes down to, isn't it?